Love can change the world. Now, when I say love, I'm not talking about my love, I'm talking about the love of Jesus Christ. Jesus spent his time on earth performing many miracles, healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and talking about God's kingdom. One time he was asked what one of the greatest commandments is, and he answered, the second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you love yourself, then I imagine you'd be willing to do anything for yourself. You'd be willing to help yourself out, do some yard work or anything like that. If you love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, then surely you'd be willing to help out your neighbor with something that they need help with. The question was raised to him, well, who is my neighbor? And he answered with a parable. And the answer to this question is, your neighbor doesn't have to be somebody that lives next door to you or in your own state or country. It could be somebody that lives halfway around the world or is a complete stranger. And if you're willing to help out that stranger, even though you don't even know them, then surely many things can change for the better. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to go on mission trips throughout the course of my life. I went on a mission trip the summer of my freshman year where members of my church went to Tennessee to do a few different projects. We got split up and were sent different ways, and the group that I worked with spent their time painting a house. It may not seem like such a big deal, but it took about a week, and to a teenager, weeks could be time spent doing other things. But giving up that week of time was great. I met many people from around the country, all seeking to do the same thing that I was trying to do, which is help my neighbor. The second mission trip I went on, my church and I went to West Virginia, and this mission trip was performed through ASP. ASP stands for Appalachia Service Project, and they help families who live on a fixed income. And once more, when we got to West Virginia, we were split up into different groups, each group having its own task and its own family that it needed to help. And when I got to the work site with my church and members of my church, we saw the house, we met the family, and we learned what needed to be done. First thing is one of the bedrooms in the houses needed to be repainted and have flooring put down in the bedroom. We also needed to take the floorboards in the kitchen, pry them up, and put down tiling. Also, this family didn't have any insulation on their pipes, so they had gone through the winter without any hot water. Imagine what that would be like. And this once more took about a week. And again, as a teenager, that week could have been spent doing anything else, relaxing, seeing friends, anything, getting ready for college. But I met people who once more were there to do the same thing as me, which is helping others that needed the help and needed our help and couldn't get anywhere else. Well, if they could afford it, they probably could, but for the most part they couldn't. And so we spent that week helping that family. In his book, Ferdinand Hans writes, "We must regard as authentic the commission to act like Jesus himself in proclaiming that God's kingdom is near in doing mighty works." Now, works don't have to be so big or small. It could be anything that helps someone. Perhaps an example is needed for this. There was this man, his name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He lived in Nazi Germany during World War II, and he spent time helping the Jews escape the tyranny that the Nazis had been spreading all over Poland and Germany and all of Europe. And he paid for it with his life. And this is talked about at the beginning of his book, Cost of Discipleship. There was a little bibliography about his life and the life of those who sought to help him. St. Francis is mostly given credit for saying this: preach the gospel every day. When necessary, use words. And it goes along with what Ferdinand Hans had said in his book. If we allow the love of Christ come into our lives, and we take that love and we use it to love others, then many great things can happen and change could be rampant. And once more, it doesn't have to be big or small. You could easily, give money to a homeless person so that they can afford their next meal or help a neighbor. It doesn't have to be big or small. Anything that makes a difference, as done through the love of Christ, can greatly change the world. My question is, how are you going to let the love of Christ come into your life and change you? Thank you for watching.